there's a lot of misinformation, or I should say disinformation, going out about who exactly the Tea Party is. A lot of people don't know, if they're not really into politics, because I've been following it, for a while, so I know, the players and where this movement actually came from and what it is morphed into right now and who's responsible for it. Since I know how our people are and how, people don't usually believe, if you say something, they won't believe it, so they'll believe it out of the mouths of white people. I got a couple of clips that I want to play to get things started before I go into the people who are actually backing the Tea Party. The first voice you're going to hear is this guy who some people are familiar with, called Alex Jones. I want to play a clip from Alex Jones first.
9/11 Truth, about 6 years ago, started having tea parties to protest the fraud of 9/11. And then those grew into protesting the Federal Reserve and the New World Order. And then 3 years ago, the first Tea Party for Ron Paul was the idea of local Austin activists, not even mine, but we supported it and promoted it. And they had, the news reported, close to 1,000 people at one, 500 at another. They went on the Congress Street Bridge. It was all over the news. And then all over the campuses, they were called Tea Parties for Ron Paul. But really, if you can say one place it was all born, Austin, Texas is the first Tea Parties for Ron Paul. The first real Tea Party for 9/11, 6 years ago in Boston. 9/11 Truth and others in Boston, where they would throw copies of the 9/11 Commission report into the water. So that's what's really been going on and happening. Now fast forward to Ron Paul, and the neocons have taken over the main Tea Party. They call it Tea Party Nation, a corporation, and they're running people against Ron Paul in Texas. The Republican Party, the Democrats don't even oppose him. The Republicans don't want a real constitutionalist. At the intro of the piece, with Sarah Palin saying the Republicans have got to take over the Tea Party. The same Republicans that tripled the size of government and expanded NAFTA and GATT, the North American Union, SPP. The same ones that lied about WMDs. The same ones that are, in many cases, going after our Second Amendment.
Okay, so that's the voice of Alex Jones, giving you some background on the origins of the Tea Party. I also have some commentary from Max Keiser and Stacey Herbert. Let me play that clip.
The conservatives in America, names like Lew Rockwell and Ron Paul, they represent a certain way of thinking. And then you've got the Tea Party movement. Now, some people think that the Tea Party movement is aligned with conservatism in America, but as time progresses here, we find out that that's not the case at all. Isn't that true, Stacey Herbert?
Well, it's genuine fascism, as it would be described. Now, I've only just learned via a link on our site from F. Beard to this Lew Rockwell story that the Koch brothers, who finance much of the think tanks, the so-called think tanks and front groups that are against global warming, but they also finance all of these Tea Party rallies via FreedomWorks. And in fact, the very first day that Rick Santelli on the floor of the Chicago Stock Exchange, talked about a Tea Party, they themselves, the Koch brothers front groups, registered the Tea Party groups, and they had all sorts of pamphlets handed out that day. Okay, talking points for them. Now, I had always assumed, like, this whole Tea Party movement that the Koch brothers are financing was more benign. I just thought it was a situation that they were trying to hijack, to steal some of the glory that Ron Paul was getting. But no. They're apparently very anti-Ron Paul because of his position on the Federal Reserve. That is, that he wants to end the Fed.
Yeah.
Well, they don't want to end the Fed. No. They, in fact, wish to give it more power. They want it to maintain its power and its secrecy because they themselves have bought and paid for certain of the governors on the board of the Federal Reserve.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So all of these people, those thousands and tens of thousands of people in the Tea Party protesting, They are protesting for a group that essentially wants to maintain the Fed.
That's right. That's right. So they, again, as it turns out, that they hold two diametrically opposed views and support those paired views that are diametrically opposed with each other, and the net result is noise. There's just utter noise. So they're against the Fed, but they support the Koch brothers who are supporting the Fed.
That they really want the Fed. So the Koch brothers saw the emerging revolution, from Ron Paul's book Revolution, and how popular he became during the last presidential election cycle. And quickly they came in with together there were $35 billion, and they're squashing the movement. They are like literally popping it like a bug under their thumb.
Yeah. Well, so, you can't be supporting Glenn Beck and Sarah Palin and support Ron Paul at the same time. You have to choose.
Okay. Scotty, did you hear that?
Yes, and, I'm familiar with Alex Jones. I had been actually following him since, I believe it was sometime in 2000, right before 9/11, and he has a couple of websites. Infowars.com. He has prisonplanet.com, prisonplanet.tv. And as far as Ron Paul, I actually voted for Ron Paul in the Republican primaries here in North Carolina. I kind of had a feeling that President Obama was going to get the Democratic nomination, and I wanted to support President Obama. But I had been following Ron Paul for some time. And you're exactly right, and you blow me away with your research, man. You really did your research to show where the Tea Parties actually started and how it's been hijacked by these neoconservatives. And
exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And I just want to play one more clip because, we love to provide evidence of what we say. Don't want to just keep talking and not have any backup. I remember before I made a statement on the show that the same Republican Party, the same guys who have the same neocons, who are now all of a sudden small government people, and now they're pushing all of these libertarian principles and whatever. I want to play a little clip for you of when Ron Paul was running for the Republican ticket. And I want everybody to keep in mind, I'm playing this stuff not because I'm such a fan of Alex Jones and Ron Paul. That's not the point. The point is, what's the origin of this Tea Party? What is the principle that they stand by, they say that they stand by, and what is actually going on? So listen to this clip here where you can hear the Republicans literally laughing at the man on the stage.
Congressman Paul, yet another question about electability. Do you have any, sir? There's always the question as to whether or not you are in fact viable. Your differences with the Republicans with the rest of the Republicans on this stage has raised questions about whether or not you can actually win the Republican nomination, sir.
Well, we've only had two little primaries so far, so it's pretty premature to decide which one is going to be the candidate. But, when you think about it, if you measured everything I've ever said, every vote I've ever taken against the Constitution, I'm a strict constitutionalist. So you suggesting the Republicans should write me off because I'm a strict constitutionalist? I'm the most conservative member here. I have voted, against more spending and waste in government than anybody else. So you're suggesting that I'm not electable and the Republicans don't want me because I'm a strict fiscal conservative? Because I believe in civil liberties? Why should we not be defending civil liberties? And why should we not be talking about foreign policy that used to be the part of the Republican Party? Mr. Republican Robert Taft didn't even want us to be in NATO. And you're saying now that we have to continue to borrow money from China to finance this empire that we can't afford? Let me see if I get this right. We need to borrow $10 billion from China, and then we give it to Musharraf, who's a military dictator who overthrew an elected government, and then we go to war, we lose all these lives promoting democracy in Iraq. I mean, what's going on here? And you're saying that this isn't appealing to Republicans? Where did Where did this come about? I think this is a Republican message. I defend the platform. It used to say we got rid of the Department of Education. It doesn't say that. Now, we as Republicans went and doubled the size of the Department of Education. So where have we gone? I think we've lost our way. But then the insinuation that I am less Republican because of that?
Congressman, thank you very much. We have to take one more break. We'll be right back with one of the most contentious issues of the day. Stay tuned.
So anybody who's claiming to be a part of the Tea Party, and then you're not aligned with the person who was actually the motivation and gave it, like its genesis and its start, then where are you coming from?